Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored. Hey, everybody.
Hey there.
Welcome to another episode of the Married and Bored podcast. We are so happy you're here.
We are. And it's still January.
Happy New Year.
No, you've already said it. We've been through this.
How long do you guys say Happy New Year for? We talked about it in a previous show. My limit's 4 days.
Yeah, apparently by January 5th, it's done.
New Year's is over, baby.
But since we've already said Happy New Year to them, you don't need to say it again.
No, that's very true. We are so happy you're here. What I was going to say is that this month is never ending, it feels like.
January always has like 8 weeks.
Yeah, the first week flies by because you're just recovering from a New Year's, trance.
Right.
Maybe you did really go into a trance at New Year's. I don't know.
We don't begrudge anyone. They're fun.
Lots of flashing lights, lots of drinking. Who knows?
Yeah.
Lots of dice rolling with
There
this
you
crowd.
go.
With this crowd.
Yes. But then the rest of the weeks just seem to be a slog.
Yeah, it's crazy. The kids are back in school and it's not cold, at least in Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, we never really get cold.
It's not, quote, Arizona cold.
Yeah.
I have a sweater on today, but honestly, it was 78.
Right. You changed into shorts halfway through the day.
Yeah, and that I've realized is an Arizona thing, shorts and then like a sweatshirt on top.
Right.
I don't think anywhere else, maybe California, but...
Oh, no, I did that.
Did you?
Growing up in Minnesota.
But you probably looked down upon.
Definitely. I was definitely looked down upon. Absolutely.
Oh, man. Thanks for listening. We've had a great 2023. We hope you had a chance to listen to our boardies, our Married and Boardies.
The Married and Boardies.
And we had a great time just kind of recapping what games we've played.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love your feedback. I don't know if you agree in any of those awards we gave out.
Yeah.
And if you're a publisher or a designer, your awards are in the mail.
Right.
I 3D printed them. They're on their way.
Okay, they were not run by me.
Nope, it is just a Benchy. If you're a 3D printer, there's a benchmark print.
Got it.
And I think it's just like a boat.
Okay.
So everyone's getting a boat.
Which makes sense with Married and Boardies, question mark.
All aboard, right?
All right, well, we're trying something new.
Yeah, 2024, new year, new you.
Yes.
What are we going to do?
We're just going to jump right into the main segment.
Let's do it.
And we are going to move our what's up and kind of like what's been on our mind on inside the board game world and outside the board game world at the end.
We're going to dive deep into a board game right away, like jumping off a high dive.
Right away.
Just straight into the game, and then as we swim to the shallow end of our episode, we'll let you know what's been going on.
Yeah. We're going to catch those people that aren't buckled right off the bat. Ready? Buckle up.
All right, guys. So, Angela, we are talking today about the Fox Experiment, my 2023 Game of the Year.
Wow.
That's high praise.
That is high praise. But I can see why.
Okay.
It was also high on my list,
Awesome.
just to be clear. But it did not make my top.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard to beat in your eyes.
Ark Nova.
Ark Nova. But, Angela, let's just, like we said, dive right in. Fox Experiment. What is it? Let's go.
Okay. Fox Experiment is a game for 1 to 4 players. It can also accommodate 5 or 6 if you get the expansion. And it's based on an actual scientific experiment that took place in 1958. So in the game, we'll talk about the experiment later, but in the game, you're going to take on the role of a scientist breeding foxes in an effort to get trait tokens and have the friendliest little fox pup. And there are also patrons of the experiment that you're hoping to impress, because of course then they give you money and other things as representative in the game of their money, I guess. And after the end of 5 rounds, you add up your points from the trait tokens and the patrons and the friendliest foxes and the studies that you completed. Highest score wins.
Highest score wins. Why wouldn't you want to play this game?
Yeah.
It has dice,
It does.
puppies,
Puppies.
dry erase whiteboard cards.
Fox puppies. Let's be clear.
Fox puppies.
Yes.
Fuppies.
Fuppies is the scientific.
Faux beef. I don't know. There's a joke in there somewhere. It's not coming to me.
Okay.
But yes, again, 2023 Game of the Year. Let's jump. I've said jump into it so many times.
And you've
Angela.
also mentioned that it's your 2023 Game of the Year.
No, that's
so
going to
many
continue.
times.
That's
Okay.
going to continue because I want people to know.
Okay.
I'm just doubling down on that fact.
All right. So let's break down the game here.
All right, Angela, take us away again.
We are going to talk about ease of setup and teardown.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about components, which is something that we've never really
New segment.
Yeah, like separately talked about. Although we do end up talking about it a little bit, but we're going to separate it into its own category. And then we're going to talk about how accessible is learning to play, like for a new board gamer or for someone that's been in the hobby for a while. And then we're going to talk about the fun factor and kind of wrap the immersive experience in that category, not too separate. And then if it's well worth it, like replayability.
Yeah.
So, starting off, ease of setup and teardown.
Yeah.
What do you think, Christian?
Ease of setup and teardown. Okay. With this being my 2023 Game of the Year.
There it is.
Okay. No, in all seriousness, it's right in the middle of the road, leaning towards there's a lot to set up.
Yes.
But it does a good job in getting everything where it needs to go. There are a lot of cards.
Yes.
It makes it a little bit easier because they're color coded. Are you yellow? You take the yellow cards. Are you
Right.
red or pink or whatever that color is? You take the pink cards. That helps a lot. Mm-hmm. There are my nemesis mini cards. Don't like those.
Right.
And then there are just 8 billion dice.
Yes. We find that you're going to need a dice tray.
You should. There are times where you might be rolling like 16 dice.
Yeah.
At
So
once.
per player, we usually have a dice tray per player because
Yes.
it's simultaneous rolling. So you don't want to like have to take turns with the tray. Yeah, and I feel like it takes up a lot of table space, just so everyone's aware, because there are big cards too.
Yeah, so the color coded cards, they're like, are they called tarot cards? They're like longer.
Right, they're like a tarot card size. Oh, there you go.
Wow, this
at
is
that.
the knight.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with tarot cards.
No, it's just the size.
So those are your foxes, and you need to not only have the ones near your player, but you also need to have the ones. I mean, it's not a market.
The fox market.
Yeah, but it's more like who you're choosing to breed.
It's the pen.
It's the pen.
Yeah.
The kennel.
And we didn't talk about there are little resource tokens that you
Yes.
earn throughout the game. And there are a bazillion of those as well.
Yes.
And they're color coded, which is fine and great, but there are just a lot.
Yeah.
And so the main board that houses where your points come from, where your little tracks are to get more bonus points with the scientists, that's actually quite small. It's maybe like 12 by 7. It's not huge.
Right.
And it sits in the center, and then everyone has their own player board, and then everyone has foxes, and then everyone has, the fox market. There's a lot of table space, like you mentioned, that
Yes.
this one takes up.
So, yeah, I would agree with you. It's medium leaning towards hard. Although, when I say hard, I feel like that means it's hard to set up. It's not hard to set up. It's just got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's time consuming because there are so many different things.
Right.
And then
Train of thought. Christian's train of thought just got lost.
I lost it hard.
Well, let me talk about components and see if anything comes back to you. We have the Kickstarter version.
Yes.
Which is different than obviously what you would buy in store or online, apart from Kickstarter. But I still think the base game comes with really good quality components.
Totally.
So you get wooden foxes.
Yeah,
that in each player color.
Yes.
And you get the large cards, which are the tarot card size. They are like thick whiteboard material.
Yep.
So you are going to use a dry erase marker on them. The game board is normal standard quality. The player boards are normal standard quality. I don't know. Is it cardboard?
Yeah, it's just a punch board, cardboard, like you'd see with any other game.
Yep. And then the tokens are all cardboard.
Yeah, just
punch tokens.
Classic board game components with this one.
Yes.
Now there are a lot of them, and there's a lot of icons on all of them. The dice are really nice too.
Yeah,
they're
are.
just
They're
your standard
colorful.
dice. There's red. They're very colorful, and they have these really bright white shapes on them. And the goal is to like match the shapes together with the same colored dice. But yeah, there are a lot of these components. It's crazy.
Yes. So in the Kickstarter version, in case you're wondering, the difference, if it matters to you, the main board and the player boards are mats, which is really nice.
Yeah, like neoprene mats.
Yes.
Yes.
The tokens are resin and
Yeah, they're all plasticed up. They're very nice and like clinky when you put them all together.
yes, they're thick.
Yeah. And the dice
dice.
too, they're marbled as a Kickstarter version, which, whatever.
So
they have a
instead
little
of being
sheen.
plain pink, it's like marbled pink,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's a whatever for us. We're not like
No.
sold on that part. But then also our foxes, instead of being wooden, they're plastic with
they're like screen printed.
screen.
Yeah.
with screen printed like I don't know, actual fox.
Yeah, it's
bodies
just pictures
and,
of different breeds. And yeah, it's very nice. So if you did jump in on the Kickstarter like we did, you know what we're talking about.
exactly.
But you can still get a full experience without it.
Absolutely.
100% the full experience. It is not needed. We are maybe dumb and crazy. So
Listen, everyone has that game where they just invest.
where they went nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
All right, so the storage,
Yeah.
I guess, should come with the components.
Yeah, let's do that. That kind of ties into like setup and teardown. It does an okay job.
Yeah.
Everything fits nicely. It's not just a big box that you dump it all into.
Yes.
I seem to remember getting loads of Ziploc bags, little baggies with this game. And maybe it's because of all the different components.
Right.
There's so many.
Right.
Different colored dice, different color. Are they not resource tokens, but what do they call them in this game? The red and the blue and the brown.
They're trait tokens.
Trait. There
Yeah.
you go. Because yeah.
So, and we, just as a side note, because of all the baggies, usually games come divided, like all the foxes would be in one bag when you get it, but we like to divide it by player color.
Oh yeah, you have to do that
when
with
we repackage it. So after the first time we play it, we put it back differently than. So we usually end up with extra bags.
Yes.
That go into our supply.
It just makes the process of getting it out on the table and actually teaching it, which we'll talk about in a minute, so much easier because you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, you're yellow, just take all the yellow pieces.
Yeah.
And they are already separated for you.
Absolutely.
It's not like, oh, I'm missing one fox,
Right.
So that's cool. One component that we should mention too is that there's these little like player marker gear tokens. For some reason, the Kickstarter decided to make them metal.
Yeah,
Which
instead of wooden, which
is
they would be.
unnecessary and weird. They could have just done plastic like the foxes, and it would have been the same thing. But there's these like chunky metal gears.
They're heavy duty,
it's weird. It's just kind of a funny extra that I don't understand why. I mean, because they're gears, they should be metal. I guess that's probably the thought, but
It's interesting.
it's a funny little extra
take
thing.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so how accessible is learning to play? Is it easy for someone that isn't into board games? I would say no.
No. Okay.
However, I think this is an easy teach for anyone who's in the board game hobby.
Okay. An easy teach. What about an easy learn?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's just someone who's not into the hobby or just hasn't played a modern board game. It's going to be hard for them to grasp like the phases.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that would take some time.
Sure.
but it's not a hard game to learn and teach if you're anywhere in the hobby.
Yeah.
It's very like the phases are straightforward. It's like, okay, this phase is one at a time, and then this phase is simultaneous. And then we wrap up with this, and there's 5 clear rounds, and they're all the same length. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be very simple to teach at a board gaming night.
Yeah, and it has notes of other games in it. So, like, we should have mentioned at the top that this is a Pandasaurus game, and it is by Elizabeth Hargrave and
Jeff Fraser.
Jeff Fraser. Mm-hmm. And if you recognize one of those names, Elizabeth Hargrave, she did Wingspan, and she's done Mariposas, which we've talked about. And we are really excited for the Undergrove game.
Mushrooms
that
baby.
Is coming out later this year, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And so there's notes of like Wingspan, and there's notes of just other games that she's done. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar, like Ange said, if you're familiar with modern games, it has similar concepts.
Yes.
You want to just like walk them through like a quick turn, because this is an interesting game because you have to pick fox parents, and then you roll dice based on what dice categories they fall into. Just really briefly, Ange, why don't you kind of walk through that process? Because that's what I like about this game most.
Yeah. So there's 4 phases, and in the first phase, turn order is important.
Okay.
And you'll you'll fight over turn order
eventually
as the game goes, but you're going to choose either a male parent or a female parent, or your supply track position, which is
your turn order.
Yeah, your turn order, but you might get a resource out of it or some sort of bonus. And everyone's going to do those 3 things, but you don't have to do them in the same order as someone else.
So I take a male fox, and then your turn.
And maybe I choose my turn order token.
Right.
So there's strategy in that, because if you need a certain fox, then you better grab that first instead of letting it sit there. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes, the other 2 player, if you're playing a 3-player game, the other players have already chosen their female foxes. So you don't have to worry about someone else taking one. You can do something else first.
Yep.
And then after that, then it's simultaneous, which is representative of the breeding. So this is when everyone is going to take their blank puppy, because now the parents that you chose in the first round, the male and the female, have made a pup, and you get to name it.
Yes.
And that's when you write on it with the whiteboard marker, and you're going to roll all your dice, try to match up those. They're like symbols, but there's some that are full symbols and some that are half.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might need 2 dice to complete one symbol.
Yeah. Like for an example, like the purple dice, I think is diamonds. And like one side of the dice might just have a full diamond. And then another side of the dice might have a diamond and then a half diamond. And so if you roll 2 of those, same side, you can put them together to make what would be 3 diamonds, if that makes any sense over a podcast. When you see it, it will definitely make sense. But that's how you then get traits on these pups.
Yep, and then you record the traits on the whiteboard thing. Mm-hmm. You also have something that you're trying to get matching up with your research, which we'll talk about in the 3rd phase. And then you record its friendliness. And friendliness is measured by basically just how many full icons were you able to complete.
Yep.
So everyone does that at the same time, which is nice. And then the 3rd phase is the research, and everyone can do this at the same time too, especially once you're used to the game. Yeah. So you get to score your studies. So if your pup, if the traits match one of the study cards that you have, so like, I don't know, I got 2 purple diamonds and I got 3 pink X's and 2 blue squares. And if that matches up with one of the study cards you have, or is in excess of one of the study cards you have, then you get to complete that portion of the study, which earns you points. Then you get to collect trait tokens from like your best pup, because sometimes you might breed more than one
Yeah.
as the game goes on, and get some upgrades on your player mat by like covering up certain circles, and as you go further down you get upgrades.
Yeah.
And then the fourth phase is like administration. So you just like, clear the market and you move new pups to the kennel, because now the ones that you just were just born are going into the kennel to become parents.
They're the new
next round.
parents.
Yep. And then the person that got the friendliest pup of that round gets to score.
Gets bonuses.
Bonuses.
There's bonuses all over this game.
And you refill the supply track and all the normal like refilling and resetting things from games. But that's what you're doing, and it's the same every round. And I think this is nice because the two simultaneous middle things just make things go so much quicker, smoother. There's no like waiting, or I should say, it feels like there's no pointless waiting.
No, I mean, as you're learning, you're going to be like, okay, why don't you just roll your dice and I'll walk you through it.
Absolutely.
But you kind of just do that once at the same time for all the new people playing. And then it's just going to make sense after one round. You might not get the bonuses, but like if you're playing a game for the first time, are you going to get all the bonuses anyways? Like,
no, you're not going to be the most efficient.
Yeah.
Because you're just learning. So the structure of the game is just really easy to learn for someone that's been in the board game world.
Yeah, it looks intimidating. Like we're looking at a picture here that had like we mentioned, table space. There's so much going on.
Yes,
but it's not that bad.
No,
it's fun to roll the dice. That's a simple mechanic that people understand. Make shapes. People can make shapes. Let's do it.
Our 8 and 10-year-old have no problem playing this game.
Yeah, and I mean they think it's fun because they get to name foxes.
Exactly. Well, speaking of fun,
let's jump right into that.
Is this game fun?
Well, yeah. For what I mentioned, I just like dice, and I like most dice games where there is just a little bit of randomness, because I like games where you have to deal with what you are given at a certain time, not planning to get something at a certain time. I would rather react to something than plan. So I like that aspect. That part is very fun for me. Another thing that we've had fun too with this one, and we can talk about it, is the naming of our fox puppies.
Absolutely.
We've done themes just to make it a little bit more interesting. What have we done, Ange? You want to?
Well, I think the first time I did, no, I don't think I did Russian names. You did,
I did Mexican food.
Mexican food.
Like queso.
Yes.
And like nacho.
Yes.
And just stuff like that, which was fun.
Our son did, I don't even know, you have to remind me, the Fortnite name.
He was just like, this fox's name is Fortnite Battle Pass.
Yes.
And I was like, you just got that for Christmas, so I guess that's on your mind.
And then I did ones like based on what the little picture looked like.
Oh, you looked at the fox and you're like, oh, this is a nugget.
And this is Sparkle. This is Sassy.
I think our daughter did princess names from Disney once, and it just makes it more fun to like, okay, and then these pups become parents, and you're like, oh, Nacho and Sparkle created frijoles.
Yeah, because then your pup that you created and named doesn't necessarily stay with you the whole game.
Nope.
So it goes to the kennel, and somebody else might choose to breed with it.
Yeah, once it goes to the market, it's anybody's game once you like reset this turn. And then that's when like the turn order comes into effect. So if I, for example, rolled really well and I was able to cross off a bunch of traits on Little Nacho, and then once Little Nacho goes back into the pen to be to be bred again, it's a very lucrative fox.
Right, that anyone can have.
Right, and then depending on what your research is, and I was going to say research is like your quest. Kind of gives you a direction on like what dice you want to go for and what kind of foxes you want to make.
Yes.
So that's a little Side note
Yes.
on research. How about you? What do you like about this one? What is fun for you?
I think the more I play dice games, the more I realize I really like just physically rolling dice.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yes.
And I like the puzzle of trying to most efficiently or maximize the number of shapes I can get to get the most traits, because oftentimes you have bonus dice or even like bonus chips that you can use. And you're trying to, those can be any trait. So you're trying to figure out like, where do I want them to go in order to maximize either this pup's friendliness or trying to get one of my study things completed, like my quest, I guess you could say. Or can I do both? So I really like the puzzle of the shapes as well. I think the art is super good. And I think the thing I liked the most about it was actually reading the introduction to the game, which I will not read for you here, but just so everybody knows, in 1958 there was actually a study. I think it took place in Russia, or is the former Soviet Union.
Yeah, somewhere over there.
And they were trying to see like if they could domesticate foxes.
Yeah.
So they took from their original group of foxes, they took the ones that were the friendliest with humans.
Oh, that's why there's the friendly factor in this game. That makes sense.
Like able to interact with humans or willing to get close or whatever. And then they bred only those ones. And then from those litters, they bred the ones that were the friendliest of those litters. And they tried to see if they could get,
basically a dog out of it.
Yeah, kind of like the theory of domesticating dogs.
Sure.
And it's funny because even though the pups were only chosen for their friendliness, their physical traits started to change over time.
Oh.
So like they weren't chosen for their physical traits. They were only chosen for their degree of friendliness with humans. But then they started to get traits that were what we would associate with a household pet, like spots and floppy ears.
Really? So they lost the, not the nature, but maybe like the hunter in them.
Right. Yeah. Or something like that. So, and this experiment brought about things that scientists still use today when they.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and I think the game really does a good job of mirroring that without it feeling like too forced.
Sure.
So a while ago we talked about John Company. I think that game, it's not comparable to this game for many reasons. But the reason why I brought it up is because that one tries to model a very specific time in history. And I think in the attempt to model it very well, it lost a little bit of the game.
For us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just, it's very well modeled after history, but it almost feels forced when you put it into a game.
Okay.
Now that's our opinion, but this one I think just does a really good job of modeling the actual scientific experiment, but you don't feel like it's forced. It's still fun, and you're rolling dice and you're matching up traits.
It's a good gamification of like history.
Yeah.
In terms of like fun.
Yes.
And some people like the tactical Axis and Allies type historical game. Mm-hmm. And like John Company is very monetary like history, like and colonialism and all that. And this one is just like, we're just gonna make a game out of breeding foxes, and then we're gonna use dice, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
One of the things I like the best about this game, Ange, is that it's very finite. There are 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. And I have never felt that the game has gone too long.
No.
In this one. I think of games, like one of my favorites is Root. Root can either go super fast, or it can be very slow.
Yeah.
Because it's just a race to 30 points. Once someone hits that 30, like game over. And you don't know if that's 7 rounds or if someone's nuts and goes in 3 rounds.
Right.
I find that hard to believe, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to explain. It's like you know that you have 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And it's never been I've never played it where it's like, man, this needs to be over soon.
Right.
Like,
no.
Or is someone gonna
Is someone going to win? Yeah.
And I think the simultaneous rolling helps with that. And just the way the game works. It's just the longest part is maybe deciding what fox to get. But eventually it does kind of come down to like what one has the most traits. Because the more traits something has, the more dice you're going to roll that turn.
Right.
And the more dice you roll, the better.
Right.
And more points you get.
And that's how the game models history, right? Because it's like, well, if you have the most traits, you're the friendliest. So everyone wants the friendliest pup in the market.
You want to talk about the player boards? We didn't mention them a little bit, but that kind of makes it fun too, because there's a lot of like, it's almost like you're building your own little like engine.
Yeah.
It's like a little tiny engine builder. You want to explain kind of like what,
So it allows
like how that
you,
could differ between each player?
Yeah. So you get to choose, as you get trait tokens, you get to mark off the circles with the trait tokens on your player map.
Yeah, like these nodes that connect to other ones.
And you get to decide like what path you're going to put that on. And then you can also choose to do multiple paths. So there's breeding more foxes in a round. So do you want to be limited to 1? Or do you want the opportunity to like breed 2 pups
and
in
maybe
a round?
get something more friendly than the other one.
Yes. Or do you want the opportunity to get a new study, like more quests, basically? Or do you want the opportunity to get a patron or roll more bonus dice, because those are permanent. Bonus tokens can leave once you use them, but bonus dice stay with you throughout the rest of the game. So you get to kind of decide what you're going to try to go for and maximize, or if you're going to try to just stay steady with all 4 different things at once. And I think that's another area where where the bonus points at the end become huge, because if you go for one track, you can end up scoring more bonus points.
Yeah, because there are end game bonuses that like major donors come in and say like, if you do this, well, you'll get 6 extra points at the end of the game. And that is all based on your player board.
Yeah.
I tend to go for in the times that I've played this is extra bonus dice. I've hit that one pretty hard.
Yeah.
And you kind of go for foxes. Like you want to do more foxes to give you more flexibility there. And I like to do more dice to just try to get more combos, I guess. And it still works. Like you've won a good handful, I've won some too, and there's no wrong way, which makes it fun.
Yeah, that's the fun part of the game. It's not like there's one path to victory. Okay, is it worth it?
I mean, 2023 Game of the Year is worth it. 100%. I have had a lot of fun playing this game. I haven't played a game in a while that I like this much.
That's true.
So this one is very fun, and maybe it's because of my history with the game. It was 2 years ago in Indianapolis when I was at Gen Con, and I got in line and I played Fox Experiment like for 2 rounds. And I've told that story a bunch of times here, but it's just I liked it way more than I thought it would, I think. And it's just fun. So yes, it's worth it. Is the Kickstarter worth it for us? Yeah. I mean, we have games. We have so many games, and like this is one that we'll keep in our collection probably forever. And we might as well have, the extras, the plastic stuff, the neoprene mats, the 5 and 6 player expansion, because we do have a game group.
Yes.
That usually caps out around 6. So like 6 is it's a lot of people, and not every game these days goes that high.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you said. I think we will play this with just us. We'll play this with our family, like kids. We'll play this with our game group. So there's multiple opportunities to play it. And I think it's just it's a relatively short play time for the size of game it is. And so I like that. It means it's going to get to the table more often. So, yes, agreed.
Yeah, and we should say too, for us, we have not played it one player, but there is a one player
not.
solo version. So we can't really speak to that, but I know a lot of solo players are out there. And if you have played this one solo, we'd love to hear what you think about it. And I think it's pretty good from what I've seen online.
Well, I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing that we could follow up on in a couple weeks and just say we did it. And then for us too, it is kid friendly, and like our kids love it. We kind of like make them play games that may be a little bit above their quote reach in terms of what their age limit on the box says, but they do fine. And once they get it, they like rolling tons of dice, and we all have a good time.
Agreed. Hear, hear.
Yay! Angela, did I convince you to take this game as the 2023 Game of the Year for you?
No.
Oh.
Although it is high on the list.
Dang it.
It does not surpass Ark Nova for me.
Anything else that we want to say about Fox Experiment before we wrap it up?
No, I think we covered it. Hopefully you have a better idea of if it's a game for you or not. It is Christian's 2023 Game of the Year, if you didn't already know that.
I wanted to make that announcement now.
Yeah, okay. And other than that, no.
All right. Good. If you have any questions about the game or just want to know more, definitely let us know. You can find this game. It is at retail, so I'm sure you can find it at your local game store. There's probably the Amazon if you do Amazon there too. So definitely look around, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Maybe just like 1 minute.
And then chat some more. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for Fox Experiment. 2023 Game of the Year. I can't say.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Christian likes this game a lot. Angela, it's a close second.
It is. It's very good.
Well, like we mentioned at the top of the show, we're switching it up, and we're just going to end the show just kind of chatting about what's been going on, what's coming up, what we've been playing, stuff like that. So, Angela, you want to start this convo and just fill in what's the news?
What's the news?
I don't know what to say.
You're supposed to say, Ange, what's up with you?
There it is. What's up with you?
All right. I have been playing some Marvel Champions recently.
Okay, yeah. Oldie buddy goodie.
That's right. Busted out my first my first play of X-23.
Okay.
Got to see my son play Deadpool, so I still want to try to play him. Mm-hmm. Both of them have this idea of hurting yourself to get more powerful.
Yes.
And so that I just is not something I usually do with a character, especially in Marvel Champions. So I kind of like playing with that idea and trying to maximize that. We need to buy more card sleeves for that, by the way.
Yeah, come on.
Put it on the list.
Amazon, get your card sleeves back in stock. Jerks.
You and I have been playing Calico because it's just a good one to not think so much like competitively, but have the TV on. And
yeah, that's a good TV is on game. But it is a thinker, because you have those combinations of colors and patterns that you want to try to achieve. And then sometimes you're just like, oh, did you see that play at the basketball game? And you're like, no, because I was looking at trying to get these chevrons to match.
That's true.
But yeah, we have that.
We have been doing it.
I do like that one.
Yeah, so that's what's been happening.
Another animal-themed game, Calico.
That's true. I've also been recording and keeping track of our games and stats for the first time ever on BGG.
Oh, yeah. You are very good at doing stuff like that. Me, not so much.
Right.
So we haven't played a ton in 2024, but it's been fun to see what we have played. Mm-hmm. We played one a few weeks ago called Her Story.
Yes.
Her Story.
No, I think it's Her Story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, then I've been keeping track of those things. I even played That's So Clever by myself.
Oh, did you mark that one?
Like 2 Fridays ago, I played a couple rounds and marked that one in there.
How do you say that one in German?
Gunschen Clever.
Yeah, perfect. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's been up with me. Christian,
Okay.
what's been up with you?
What's been up with me? Well, what's been up with us? What's been up with us is that we were invited back somehow to be on Critical Encounters podcast with the boys over there, and we recorded an episode that'll be out in a few weeks. And we got to explain a Nemesis set, not a Nemesis set. It's an Encounter set.
There you go.
What's it called?
Acolytes?
Acolytes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an X-Men set, and it was just really fun. We were on with the crew over there, and they invited Natalie, which we had on who we had on our show, Board Gamer Girl.
Yes.
So that was fun. She is a solo player of Marvel Champions, and she came on and talked about the Acolytes with us. We had a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't already follow Natalie on Instagram, it's at Board Gamer Girl, like GAYMER.
Yep.
And she is great. It's like a recording. It's like a board game scrapbook is what her Instagram is, but it's fun. So she's really a good presence on there, and also fun not in person. We haven't met her, but in real life.
Yeah, her voice is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all that's been up with you?
Yeah, so we did that a couple weeks ago. Look for that. We'll post, obviously links on our socials.
Yes.
And then we have been deep in planning our 2024 board game weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are really excited for this. It's happening it's like 2 weeks away.
Guys, the next time we release a podcast after this one, it'll probably be to recap the board gaming weekend.
So this is our third annual. Is that right?
Yeah.
Third?
Yeah.
And so we have a friend who has a very large property up north in what's called Sholo, Arizona. It's like I think it's like an old mining town back in the day. I don't know. And it's up in the mountains, so fingers crossed, snow. If there's not snow, it'll at least be cold.
Yeah.
So that'll be very nice. And this year, I believe we have 12 to 15 people coming.
At different, coming and exiting at different times.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of wild. We haven't had that many people before.
And it's also the first year that we have, we're ending it on Super Bowl Sunday.
That's true. So we're going to have to drive home quickly yet safely.
Quickly and safely to get home in time for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, with as far away as it is, I think everyone's going to be okay, before lunch, we're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now we're, thinking about what games we're bringing, and also what food we're feeding 15 people.
Yeah. What games are you bringing in? What's 2 to 3 games that you definitely want to get played while you're up there?
Fox Experiment.
Okay. I hear that one's good.
I hear it's the 2023 Married and Boardy of the Year for Christian.
I didn't say it.
Oh, okay. I will always play Ark Nova.
Sure.
And then, I don't know, then it becomes like a tie between a few. I do want to play Calico, but I wouldn't be upset if it didn't get played.
It's a good filler one. It's just you've just finished a big game of Ark Nova.
Yeah.
That's sometimes it's a slow game.
Yeah.
And you're all right, we have 30 minutes to 45 minutes till lunch. We can take you can rest if you want, but if you want to play Calico, let's knock it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want some redemption on Obsession.
Okay.
Because we played that once with our game group, and it just kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
But that game is it's a great game. So I kind of want some redemption there, but I don't know that anyone will play it. So
I think you'll get a good handful. I think a couple people will try it again.
Yeah.
Who are in that original group, and then we have a bunch of new people who I think are just down to clown with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So 2 to 3. I want to play what I guess would call a big game.
Yes.
Not like Twilight Imperium, but more like a Rising Sun or an Ankh type game. Great Wall, something like that. I'd like to do that because those don't get played that often.
Right.
because sometimes they just take a long time, and we have a couple days while we're up there, so might as well do it. I want to do something like that. I feel like I need to play Root. I haven't played Root in quite a while.
That's true.
And I want to play it at like its original player count, like 4, maybe 5
Not
people.
6.
The last couple of times we've played it, it has kind of like bogged down and it got very slow. Rightfully so. Everyone's doing something so different.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd like to like strip it back and be like, okay, let's just do 4. And I think it might be a totally different experience.
Yes. Agreed.
So I'd like to play. I'd like to play that, and then like some of the newer ones that we've played lately, Fox Experiment. We've had a good couple rounds of Apiary in the past couple weeks.
Lacrimosa?
Lacrimosa, that was kind of a surprise for me. I've enjoyed that. And then the new, like the 2 car games I would like to play.
Yeah, yep. Heat,
Vendetta
Thunder
and
Road
Heat.
Vendetta.
Yeah. So there's so many games.
I know.
So we're looking forward to that. If you could go and pick 5 games to bring to a board game weekend, everyone, what are your top 5?
Yeah, what would you bring?
Maybe one that's like you love, one you want to teach to new people, and then just like 3 bangers that you want to... Also, what do you feed 15 people?
Well, I've got that covered.
Okay.
I've got it covered.
Do you want to go down the list and just talk? No, we don't need to.
I'm not going to talk about the food. I don't want people to judge me.
So yes, Board Game Weekend, we are so pumped. We do have, in the past, you have been the only female presence at the weekend. So we do have 2 women who have come, who have signed up. They don't sign up. They told me and Angela that they'd like to come and play. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be fun. So you'll hear more about that from us, obviously, in the next couple weeks.
I did want to say that just in my What's Up, and I forgot that we had someone give in every category that we talked about their winners.
That's right.
For the Married and Boardies.
That was awesome.
And I won't list all of them,
what
but
was
I will.
His 2023? Well, say who it is.
Okay,
and then give like his top 2023 game of the year, and then 2 other fun categories.
Okay, so his handle on Instagram is @CharlieRunShorts. And the best party game was Bananagrams.
Bananagrams, okay.
He agreed with you on the best game with animals, Ahoy.
Yes.
Yep. Longest game, Northgard Uncharted Lands.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've seen that, pictures of it, and it looks like it would take forever.
Biggest surprise for him was Gingopolis.
Okay.
And game of the year for him was Subterra.
Subterra. Nice. Well, thanks, Charlie, for giving us your list. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure, but I'm just going to ask, are you local to Arizona? Because I feel like...
Let us know.
You might have mentioned that in some other post you sent to us, but, you don't have to say it. Let us know. DM us. Whatever.
DM us. So that is to say that we always love hearing your feedback. So if you want to answer what 5 games you would bring to a board gaming weekend, we would love to know.
I know we only did 3, but, we're going to stretch our audience.
We're giving you homework.
Yeah, stretching you. Get out of your comfort zone. Pick 5.
There you go.
Angela, what's been bringing you joy outside of board games?
Zero sugar root beer.
That's so specific. Do you want to say why it's been bringing you joy? Because you and I are on a journey.
We are on a journey. Now, I'm going to laugh as I say this because we didn't do very well this weekend. We had a couple...
no, but we had relatives in town.
Yeah, we had a couple situations.
Some whoopsies.
So, yeah, we have been trying to be low carb.
Okay.
Now, there's the whole keto thing, which we're not really measuring if our body is in ketosis or not, but all keto things are low carb. Mm-hmm. So we kind of look towards that area, but we're not like...
We're in the middle.
We're not like hardcore keto. We're just trying to cut down on how many carbs we eat.
Yes.
So anyway, all that to say is that, zero sugar root beer has been hitting the spot for me.
Hitting the spot. Okay.
What's bringing you joy, Christian?
I'm trying to think of what's bringing me joy. I think I've mentioned it before, but there's some guys at work, and I've said it before, like I'm 40, and for some reason Fortnite has been really fun still. And I never thought I would say those words. And so that's been fun. And maybe it doesn't matter what game it is, but just having a consistent time to like play games with your friends.
Yeah.
That has been bringing me joy.
Yeah, that's huge.
Like trying new ones and just having fun and laughing and being, I don't know, kids again.
I mean,
whatever.
Absolutely. Age is only a number.
It's only a number. Awesome.
Well,
I feel like I have one more question to ask you, Angela. And it was about Fox. Oh, no, it wasn't. What books are you reading?
Oh my gosh. I was trying to hide it as a Fox experiment question. All right. I am reading, so I'm listening to a book called A Woman Is No Man.
That's true.
And that is very true. It's fiction, but heavily based on what really goes on it's a Palestinian family that emigrates to America, and their culture and their like right now I'm only at the beginning, so basically it's like the marriage culture, like how marriages are handled.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's been very interesting. And then the book I am reading is called, I think, The Wild Inside.
Whoa.
And it's about a adolescent girl in Alaska, I believe. And they breed dogs and sled dogs, and
Okay.
yeah.
Kind of like foxes.
No, they're not foxes.
Speaking of Alaska, if you like mysteries and kind of creepy shows, True Detective season 4 has been bringing me joy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Give that one a try.
Give it a try.
Yep.
Have you been reading, Christian?
I haven't been reading. I have a problem with books, and like I go in streaks.
Yeah.
And right now I have started, I think, 3 different books that have just fallen flat for me.
They haven't brought you joy.
No, but what they should. I made a 2024 goal to read 15, which last year I read 12 or 13, so it's not a stretch to jump to 15.
Right.
But at this rate,
Well, you can do it. I think you can. I was going to say, did you mark it in your Goodreads as your challenge for this year?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to find me on Goodreads, you definitely can.
Yes.
But I've read one book, and it was it was called Pines, and there was a show a few years on Fox called Wayward Pines that book or the show was based off the book. It was good, and I'm not interested in reading the rest of them because it definitely sets up others. And then there's a couple that I was just waiting to read, and I finally got them on through the library audiobooks, and they just kind of fallen flat. Maybe I just have too much else going on that I just can't really get into it.
Maybe.
I don't know. But then I also have a stack of books at home, physical books, that I'm now leaning towards just being like, I should just pick one of these
Yeah.
and just knock it out.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
You should.
We'll see.
I was just looking at my past Goodreads challenges, and I've read more books every single year. I just didn't know that. Like, I thought maybe it would have been like more like even, but I didn't know that I'd progressively gotten.
Yeah. I think for you, I mean, eventually you kind of have to like plateau. You can't like
I can't.
infinitely scale your book reading.
No, I understand this.
No, just I don't think anybody can.
No,
Like
I know.
for me, I think averaging 1-ish a month is probably a good goal for me.
Yeah.
With all my other hobbies of playing board games, video games, movie, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It all competes for the same amount of time. So,
Totally.
and you guys are all out there doing that too. So, you know how it is.
Everyone's living their life.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We have had fun discussing Fox Experiment.
Yeah.
And
Please answer the question, what 5 games would you bring on a board game weekend? You can find us, answer the question, I guess I should say, on Instagram. You can find us at Married and Board. Mm-hmm. Threads as well.
Threads at Married and Bored.
Yep. You can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com. We'd love to hear from you. Just reach out, say hey. Ask us questions, answer our questions.
Call into the show.
Oh, we have a caller? Hello?
All right, we're working on calling into the show.
We're working on calling in for the show. And maybe video in 2024. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I wanted to do video, and Christian was like, no, there's a mic issue.
There was last time. Sorry, folks.
So I didn't get my way, but...
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll keep dressing fancy until then.
Yes. I'll finally get to take my tux off.
All right, guys. We will see you next time. Have a great week or two.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram @marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time.